G'day, hi and welcome. Alright, this is another voiceover motovlog till I get my GoPro 5 mic adapter and mic. Might be a little while before I get that. Hopefully I have it this season, but we'll see. Anyway, I want to talk about the number one mistake motovloggers make, and it's a from a not a I'm picking on any one motovlogger or anything like that. It's just an observation I've made from watching. Like anybody, if you watch their videos, you'll pick it up too. It's from a public safety point of view, just to keep people as safe as possible. Again, it's playing a bit of a mother hen here, but I think it can save lives, so I think it's a good idea. So, what is the number one mistakes motovloggers make? Do they wear adequate gear? That's not the number one mistake. Some do, some don't. Is it they don't have the right camera gear or camera angle? That has nobody cares about that. Is it they ride faster than the traffic too often? Yes. This is something I noticed motovloggers tend to do. When they're riding, they tend to always be passing the traffic. I'm not talking that they're doing 100 miles an hour everywhere, but they're usually going maybe not quite double the speed of the traffic, but they're going, maybe 10 miles an hour faster than everybody else around them. And this presents a problem for two reasons. Number one, you're extra speed, and we have to consider the statistics of speed. If you're at less than 10 miles an hour, you're going to probably, there's a 50% chance you're going to sustain injuries if you're doing 10 miles an hour in a crash or less. Above that, it goes to like 75%. Now, above 35 miles per hour, 35 miles per hour, or about 50 kilometers an hour, your possibility of death is about 94%. So, just think about that. That's something to keep in mind. That that's the fatality of motorcycle. 74% of all motorcycle fatalities here in Canada, or accidents, end in a fatality of a motorcyclist. So that's just something to keep in mind. Now, the other thing is you have to keep in mind that almost all the information a rider will process, 95% of all of the decisions made that a motorcycle rider makes is based on 95% of it is from visual. So 95% of your decisions come from a visual perspective. So you see somebody turning on a signal light, your brain acknowledges they turned on the signal light, so you take whatever precautions you have there, that type of thing. So any sort of the distraction you have, and motovlogging is a distraction. It's kind of like listening to the radio in your car while you're driving. It becomes a distraction. The degrees of a distraction vary. For example, motovlogging, when you're talking, your brain is multitasking. So although you're slightly distracted, you've still got your eyes on the road, but it might slow down your processing, which I'm going to talk about it, the law of 3 seconds in another video. Where almost everything takes about 3 seconds to respond to. So you don't have a lot of time, and if you're giving yourself less time, that's it. So distracted, you're not distracted, say like somebody driving and texting, in the sense that they're not paying attention to the road whatsoever, but you're, it slows down your brain processing from when you're talking to reacting to the road conditions. Now, with the motovloggers, and I'll pick on Yaminu, but not because I don't like the guy or anything like that. I have no qualms with the guy, but he's a good example of how to get things wrong when he gets things wrong. And I'm not talking about the Porsche incident where he, crossed the line and went head first into a Porsche. How he's not dead, I don't know. I guess God must be saving him for something special. You know what I mean? That type of thing, or he did something really good in the past life to be able to walk that one off. But there was another video where he got into an accident where you see a car, and he comes up on the car. It's a 2-lane, and this car is trying to decide where to turn to the left. And you can see he goes across the lane without signaling. We see automobiles do this more often than we'd like. And then we see him basically do that, and then he comes back out. So he goes all the way to the left, and he comes all the way back to the right, and then to the next intersection, yeah, I mean, Noob at this point is going way too fast, and when he sees this guy making it, kind of slowing down, is he gonna? Oh, you know, the guy doesn't know where he's going, right? And you can clearly tell this guy doesn't know where he's going. So he gets impatient. He goes to go around him just as the guy turns left and smack into him he goes. Pretty sure this was Yami. If it wasn't, I apologize to Yami. But I'm pretty sure it was one of his accident videos. This guy seemed to have had a lot of accidents. I think another time he spun out on the gravel. And I'm going to be talking about the riding on asteroid fields as well, because I do have experience, you know, definitely on loose roads. Gravel. My driveway is like the most terrifying thing to ever go down, with the beach sand and the rocks, and with all the rain we've got this year. You guys watch the footage of me going up and down my driveway on this bike. You can see how rough of a condition it is, and attention to detail you have to pay. But yeah, the speed is the big issue. Is that I noticed that most motovloggers are always going a little too fast. They would be better off just to follow the traffic. Now, should you be in the left lane, right lane? Yeah, usually you're moving a little bit faster in the left lane, but we have to remember, what's the number one incident that usually gets motorcyclists in traffic related? I'm not talking about guys going off the road going too fast. I'm talking traffic related, where there's a collision with another vehicle. It's usually the dreaded left hand turn right in front of you. There's three things, or maybe more than three things here, but the number one thing you have to keep in mind is people, even other motorcyclists, cannot judge speed of a motorcycle coming at them. And if you're going slightly faster, most people don't make the connection that you're moving faster than the traffic. They just kind of, if they even acknowledge that you're there, it takes, again, probably about 3 seconds for somebody, even looking straight at you, to acknowledge that there's a motorcycle. They just don't see you. Their brain does not process that you're there. An example of this, for example, when Christopher Columbus landed on the shores and he met some of the native groups, they asked them how he got there, and, well, maybe not in the language, but they were trying to explain the ships, and they couldn't see the ships because they had no concept of what a ship was. To them, it was just these things floating in the water. They literally could not see them. This was recorded that the natives could not understand what a ship was. They just thought it was like a wrecked log, these wrecked logs floating in the water. They didn't know what they were. I'm sure after a while they figured out what they were. But it's the same with a motorcycle. So even sometimes you'll be riding your motorcycle, and I do this several times, and you'll if you try this little technique, it might work for you. You see a signal light come on, the guy's going to turn to the left, and whatever, and you'll see, maybe not in this video, but in a video coming up, you'll see where I'm coming around a corner, like I'm on the highway like this, and the car's going to turn left. So what I do is I wave at the driver before I get there. He waves back. Now, as he's doing that, I'm waiting for his wave back. Now, when he waves back, I know he's seen me. But if he didn't wave back, I'm already moving over to the other side of the road, but I'm already getting ready to do an evasive. So I'm lowering my speed, but I'm also getting ready to crank the throttle if I have to do one of those kind of do or die moves, right? Because I know he might not, he'll see me, but he doesn't acknowledge me, but he probably can't judge my speed. Even if I'm doing the speed limit, he probably still can't judge how fast I'm going. And then you get the scenario of beat the train. Well, I can make it, I've got time to go, he won't be here for another second or two. And then before you know it, you're on somebody's hood, because they think you know, and if you're going a little bit faster, again, if you're doing 50 kilometers an hour, about 35 miles an hour, or 60 kilometers an hour, about 40 miles an hour, people can't judge the difference between that when you're coming at them. And why is that so important? Well, that's important because when you're motovlogging, if you're out there and you're slightly distracted and you're riding faster than the traffic, you're not giving yourself the time. It doesn't matter if the other guy's at fault. You're the one that gets hurt. Again, let's go back to the statistics. 75% of all motorcycle accidents end up in injury to the rider. And over 35 miles per hour, it's almost, at 50 miles per hour, it's almost 100% guaranteed you're going to die. It's 95% at 35 miles per hour, something like that. These are the Quebec statistics, but I can imagine they hold about the same around the world. So you're not giving yourself an out. You're not giving yourself time for the other drivers who don't really, again, they might be making oh, I got to go into this lane and that type of thing. You're not giving them the room. You're going to be zooming up. They'll look and they'll see you in the mirror. Okay, I can go. He's behind me. And by the time he starts making his maneuver, he's now clipping your front tire with his back bumper, because he thinks you can you're at a constant speed. He doesn't know. Most people do make the connection that, you know, the left lane is moving faster, but not everybody. You know what I mean? They don't judge it. So some of these motovloggers are usually going sometimes double the speed of the traffic, and they're not giving themselves, you know, they're just zipping in and out of the traffic. They're not giving themselves 100%. You know, they're cutting it right on the margin. They're not giving themselves a good enough safety margin. So it's just something that, again, I'm not criticizing to be mean or like that. I'm saying to be mindful of it. Again, you're motovlogging anyway. You're out there enjoying the day. Slow it down a bit. Follow the traffic. That's the best thing to do. Because anytime you're beside a vehicle, you're in danger. Anytime you're moving faster than the traffic, you have to overtake other vehicles. You're putting yourself in a potential risk. From the point, the only time a motorcycle is safe is when it's off on the side stand and you're not on it. The risk increases the second you throw your leg over the seat. The second you get on the bike, the risks increase. As soon as you put the bike into gear, it increases again. And that's how you have to look at motorcycles, is levels of risk, because that's what they are. You know, they're levels of risk. It's not to fear people, but it's just to keep things real. So again, if you're a motovlogger, be very careful out there. Watch your speed, and yeah, have yourselves a great day, and be safe.